Joining me right now, a man that I watched throughout college, Adam Corolla, joins us from his super cool studio, and we're going to talk about all of the awesome stuff that he has coming out because he's challenging the snots who run comedy in Hollywood. But Adam, first off, it's the business's fault, right? Because they're not chaining down their stuff and they're tempting these poor people looking for bread.
Well, the thing about the whole kind of progressive movement is everything is reverse engineered. So if test scores are low in mathematics, then we go work on the test, not the kids. You know what I mean? If purses are being stolen, we work on the purses, not the people that are stealing them. Everything is sort of a reverse engineering, which is weird. But then they never stop talking about root causes, and they never stop talking about, what's incentivized. Kamala Harris goes to Guadalajara to figure out what the root causes of. So are you into root causes or are you into chaining up handbags?
That's a great point.
It's the exact opposite. They do all this preaching, and I think it's projection, where they just go, we need to fundamentally find the root cause of what is causing, But it's okay, then be consistent and go to the root causes. Where are these people coming from? Why are they motivated to do this?
I just think, and we're talking with Adam Corolla, I just think that if you, we're talking about root causes, I think a root cause is maybe not prosecuting like thefts. Isn't that what happened in California? They stopped prosecuting people for, I don't know, like what the dollar amount was, but like if you steal something, no big deal, just, kind of shrug it off. And then they're shocked when now they're raiding the pot stores. And I'm like, are people going to now start paying attention because they're going through all of the marijuana shops? They just like robbed a bunch of those just in the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's another perfect example. There's too many people in prison. Well, get rid of the prisons or stop arresting people. Like, again, that is not a root approach to solving a problem. That's the end chain. Homeless people are everywhere because there's not enough houses. But the real question is why are people sleeping on the street?
Yeah.
What is the root cause of this? So wildly inconsistent in the root cause pursuit. It
requires people to take responsibility. They have to find out, they have to take some ownership of finding a solution. And nobody wants that. So if there's too many people in prison, make the world a prison. Get rid of prisons and make everything else a prison so we can all live in prison equally, which, that ultimately kind of seems like the goal, which sucks. We're talking with Adam Corolla, and I love that you're doing this. And first off, I think Daily Wire is signing everybody. Whenever I see somebody get wronged in society, I'm waiting for the announcement from Daily Wire, like, we've got this person and we've got this person too. And you're doing a comedic series that's launching over at Daily Wire. And I loved some of the discussion about this because I think the question is, well, obviously when they made Passion of the Christ, that I forget what the box office total was for that. I mean, obviously it did very well. So clearly there are some measures that content that's not all super far left does well, but yet it seems that Hollywood was always hesitant to make it. And when you were asked about it, you said, because they're all snobs. They're all snobs, and that's why they don't want to do it. Are they bigger snobs than they are quasi-capitalist, and is that really ultimately the thing that's the hurdle?
Yeah, they are. I mean that's kind of what it is. I mean, when President Obama was interviewed some years ago, and he said, they said, raising the corporate tax rate doesn't get you more money. It's proven that lowering the corporate tax rate actually gets the federal government more revenue. And he said, I know, but I just want what's fair. I get it, but we're not going to do it because it's not fair. I don't know what that means, but I think it's a pretty good example of putting your sort of snobbery over your money.
Yeah, no, that is a good example. The series is called Truth Yeller, which I like because I think you can't just tell people anything anymore. You have to yell it at this point because it's all white noise, which that probably is a triggering phrase now anymore. You got Jay Leno. I was looking at some of the guests that you have come. Tell me about this because you've got people that are unafraid to. I mean, it's a series that you're doing at Daily Wire. and you're not exactly a bastion of, socialism. You yourself, you're not this, big, socialist supporter. I mean, you're pretty, independent and free spirited, and you, you're capitalist, etc. Things that we don't say align with maybe, I guess, progressivism. How did you get people? You got Jay Leno to come on your show. You've got what is it? Patrick Warburton. You got Rob Riggle. You've got some like pretty big names that are coming on, and this flies in the face of the thought that so many people are afraid to associate themselves with anything that's remotely touched conservatism. So tell me about your show, and it kind of gives you hope to think that, well, maybe there's more people out there that think like us than not.
Yeah, I mean, there's kind of two groups in Hollywood. There's a kind of a left group, which is most of Hollywood, and they never stop complaining about McCarthyism, but they practice McCarthyism on a daily basis, and they will blackball you and not associate with you and so on and so forth. And then there's a group of sort of intellectually honest people who are like, this guy's a guy I know. I know Adam. He's a friend. He's a good guy. He wants to do comedy. I want to do comedy. It's not an overtly political show at all. It's a comedy show that can go anywhere. And they're like, I know Adam. I like Adam. He's never done anything bad to me. And if he wants me to come out on stage with him, we'll do it together.
I love that, because relationships used to kind of be like that. I mean, and you could go and make films together and not get mad at people for differing views, and people didn't hold grudges against you. I was reading the story about how Will Ferrell got mad at some guy for casting John C. Reilly in a film that he thought he should get that role, and there's this big grudge. And I read all about these grudges of people who used to be friends, but then one of the friends said that they kind of, liked this Republican candidate, and they don't do projects together anymore. That sucks, because it as a consumer, it makes me mad, because during this lockdown, Adam, I've completely had to start watching everything anime, because there was nothing fun coming out of Hollywood anymore. Everything was all in your face, progressivism, or trying to shame you for not thinking like other people, or it was, and I love Dave Chappelle, but I also feel like, a lot of comedy, people are so terrified to make a joke anymore that all of the comedy, most of it seems like has to be focus grouped before it can be brought onto stage. And the fearlessness was one of the things that made it so hysterical, because you knew that some people were going to be gasping like, oh, I can't believe he said that, but yet they still went and they made that joke anyway, which is what made it so hysterical. I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on that, because what is the state of comedy now, and if it's being really restricted that much by this kind of Orwellian thought police sort of stuff, can it be revived? Can it go back to, being the freewheeling thing like Blazing Saddles? Can it go back to that?
Well, it's going to create, two separate camps. It's going to have the folks on the left that just virtue signal and sort of go harder that direction. And then that'll give birth to the Daily Wire and other people and other comics. I always kind of say, people say to me, where's this all heading? Where's it going? Because I have a bit of a gift for being able to predict things, that are 10 years down the road. And I always said, I wrote a book 12 years ago called In 50 Years We'll All Be Chicks. And it's on. It's
That's
on,
right.
man.
I remember that.
And look, I say to this, I wasn't making a joke. I could have named the book anything I wanted in 2010. I wanted to name it this. Like, I had thoughts about this, 12 years ago. But I tell everyone, when they go, where's this heading? I go, well, safe spaces. Most of Americans are heading for a safe space, and then the rest are going to an octagon. Yeah. And that's where it is. You drive around LA, you see Teslas and Priuses, and then you see some guy in a big Jeep with knobby tires on it, and, the jack bolted to the hood and a shovel. And it's like, oh, that created that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've lived in Los Angeles my whole life. 10 years ago, you didn't see the guys in the big hunking Jeeps and trucks and, Ford Raptors and Dodge, I think TRX and stuff like that. They're creating these trophy trucks for the street. Well, why are people buying these? Because we're trying to push them into a Prius, and they're going, F that. What's the opposite of a Prius? so that's what we're going to have with comedy.
This
we're going to
actually
we'll have the backlash.
that
We'll have the
explains
folks going
so
the other
much.
direction.
Yes. Because I want a big giant truck, and I'm a horrible driver. Like, I am the stereotype of a woman driver. I hit someone in a damn Taco Bell drive-through for the love. I mean, and I
Wow.
want a bit. I know it's not anything sad. I feel like everybody's trying to get you into smaller cars. It's just like an avatar of resistance, the big giant roided out truck. And I'm a girl, and I want one.
Right.
Because I feel so suppressed now. Can I ask you what you drive?
Yeah,
What kind of vehicle do you drive?
I drive a Lincoln SUV.
Nice.
But
That's a
for
big
me,
car.
I'm not a statement automobile guy. I love cars. I race cars. I have a lot of vintage cars. I'm way deep into that world. But when I'm done with that, I just want to be anonymous and get from
Right.
point A to point B. You know, people say to me all the time, "How come you don't drive a Lamborghini or something? You're such a car guy." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I don't want to be the car guy when I'm just sitting in traffic in LA."
Yeah. And I learned that really quick. I think it was what did I get? I think I got rented a Charger the first time I had to rent a car and drive in LA. And I thought, I'm going to tear this up on the open highway. It's going to be amazing. Pull out of the dealership, and it was bumper to bumper traffic for like an hour. I learned my lesson. You can't, it's hard to be a car guy in LA. Adam Corolla, the series is called Truth Yeller. And you have 3 episodes up, and congrats on this. This is actually really cool, and I'm glad that you're doing this. And it's not political. It's just like you're making fun of Crocs, which really deserve it. And I think that that's like a service to America to do so. Although I am sad that are you sad you didn't invent the little buttons though that go in the holes? Because that lady who invented that is like a frillionaire now.
Oh, that and those weird little pop handles on the back of the phone.
Yeah.
Are the 2 things I missed on. Or maybe the same person did both of those. If you think about it.
She probably did. Adam Corolla, the show, like I said, Truth Yeller, and you can find him also on Twitter, Adam Corolla, at Adam Corolla. Adam, good to talk with you. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Dana.
Okay, so take care.